BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed a welcome to a podcast where I try not to muddle up the intro, trying to do a thing like Dan, but different from Dan. This is the BRB UK podcast, and I'm Coleman. Hi! Welcome to episode 546, that sounds right. Dan is not here this week. He has been called to... Oh, we didn't come up with a joke. Dan has been called off to an emergency meeting involving Haddock. Yes, that sounds right.
Haddock?
With me this week is Tim.
Hello.
The one man who doesn't take any time off the show.
No. I don't get any time off for good behaviour. No rest for the wicked and all that sort of stuff.
I took my first day off in just over 2 months, I think,
Ooh.
today, and spent my entire day doing housework and looking up different streams from the Summer Games Fest 2023, which is handy because that's what we're going to talk about on this week's show.
Research.
So, the way this is going to work, if you remember the EGX, the EGX shows, if you remember the E3 shows, if you remember any of the kind of shows where we've covered different events, sometimes we do big shows, sometimes we do regular shows. This one's like a mix in between. We're going to not go through every single stream and go through every game because we'll be here till next Summer Games Fest, I think, especially the way we like to talk. And we're not going to go through each one and go, right, what's my favorite of this show? Because then we're going to try cram everything in. So I've written out all the games. Me and Tim have marked all the ones we want to talk about. We're going to pick ones at random from different shows, kind of jump all out of sync all over the place. We'll say which show it's come from each time. Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. And then we know how long we've been doing Summer Games Fest for and know where to cut it off for. And it gives us a chance to do all like the big hitters first and that kind of thing. And then if we've got time, we'll talk about some games we done played. Sound good?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
good.
Sounds good to me.
Excellent. You want to pick one off to start, Tim?
Yeah, we each highlighted a load of games, and I have to say that you highlighted a load of one. You got to highlight them first as you wrote the list, which is only fair. You picked a few ones that I was going to pick first and foremost. So let's up front do, I think, what was probably my favourite surprise of all of the things we saw, which was Star Wars Outlaws.
So, in Ubisoft Forward, we knew Ubisoft were working on a Star Wars game. We didn't know to quite what extent they were doing it. And it seems on the kind of level of the Guardians of the Galaxy game we got a surprise with a few years ago from Square Enix, or like one of the Jedi Fallen Order type games. So this one's Star Wars Outlaws, a new section of the Star Wars mythos, and we're following more rebel type characters with brand new characters and creatures and things to be looking at. So
Scoundrels.
Why did you want to talk about this one so bad, Tim? Scoundrels.
If you'd have told me that Ubisoft was making an open world Star Wars game, my first reaction would have been, oh no. So it's probably a good idea.
Assassin's Wars.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing that they snuck it up on us, basically. Because I really like the look of this from the trailers that they showed, at least. Having had our Jedi fantasies already well catered to in recent times with Fallen Order, the only other thing that I'd really like, top of my list in the Star Wars universe is Jedi. Yeah, we've got done that. Then Bounty Hunter, then Scoundrel. I think that's the three that I want to do. We didn't get a Star Wars Bounty Hunter game. Hopefully that's still coming. Yeah, being a scoundrel and just flying around in the Star Wars universe does sound pretty enticing. And what they showed in the sort of trailer and then the gameplay and everything else, I'm really on board for this, basically. I'm very much looking forward to this now. Yeah,
what I like about this especially is, so if you remember at some point in the 90s, they were trying to do this big multimedia project with Star Wars, and they came up with a brand new story that spanned over video game, comic book, novels, toys, like just a whole big project. And I cannot remember for the life of me the name of the game off the top of my head, but there was a PC and a N64 game, I think it was, and it literally stars not Han Solo. So what I like about this is you've got someone who's a bit more unique. They've got because it's Disney Star Wars, it's they've got to have a cute sidekick character, which is like a little dreadlock Grogu thing walking around, dog alien pet. But yeah, I like the look of that.
I like the look of Nyx as well. Nyx looks cool. Don't take the out of Nyx.
And I like the fact that it's it's not just sort of stealth shooter, third-person action, but you've also got space combat in there as well.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that when you first get into your ship, is it the Mantis in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order? I was like, oh, what are we doing with the ship? And then it takes off, and it's like, oh, it's a loading screen.
Yeah,
and that's the same with the sequel as well. Like, and the same with outside of Star Wars in Destiny. Like, that's one of my biggest letdowns in that game is you all take off, you get in your ships together, and it's a loading screen. It's like, I want to do something in the ship. That sounds good. So I like that they've got that. I'm going to be sort of quietly optimistic about this game, because with the recent state of some games and news of games to come, I'm kind of worried about this generation's hardware with like the look of the games that are coming out, and I don't know if I can go backwards in frame rate now and adjust to that, because I get sick playing games in lower frame rates. So we'll see what it looks like when it comes out. I've already had my fingers burnt by a Star Wars this year, but we're going to be waiting a little while for this, though. But it looks sick, as the kids might say.
Ooh,
20 years ago. So you want to talk about the big surprises, one that absolutely caught me off left field. And I don't know why it's taken, well, one, it seems obvious. Two, why is it taking this long? But there's an update for Sea of Thieves coming in July, I believe. Yeah. And that is a Legend of Monkey Island addition to it.
I did think of you as soon as I saw this announcement.
Oh, yeah. Our friend Rick, he messaged me as it was going on. I was like, no, I'm not watching it. I'm doing something else. I'll watch it in the morning. And he went, tell me when you've watched it. There's a thing you're going to love. And I thought he was talking about something completely different. And then when I came in, it's like, did you see the Monkey Island thing? Yes, that's brilliant. So what you've got here, it's another expansion kind of in the same sort of scope as the Pirates of the Caribbean we got last year or the year before. I can't remember. Some point. And it's a free update, and it has a completely new area and story that you're following. What I love about it is you're getting lovingly recreated 3D versions of Melee Island and Monkey Island by the looks of it, that you'll be able to wander around and explore in your own time. So I love that idea. And kind of recreated characters and bringing back voice actors and stuff. You get to see Guybrush be the governor of Melee Island. So all this stuff sounds really cool. The thing that kind of caught me off guard was I heard the music and I saw the logo Rare, and I was like, wait, Rare's making a Monkey Island? Not thinking, oh yeah, they do Sea of Thieves, that game you love. Oh, they've got Monkey Island, that other game you love. Why has this not happened before? Like we even got the Monkey Island crossover in Uncharted 4 before we got it in Sea of Thieves. So yeah, it seemed like a no-brainer. I'm glad they're doing it. It's a free update. I'm looking forward to playing it, and that might make me polish off my Game Pass subscription, get that back out there again.
Okay.
Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
While we are talking Xbox, let's go with a quick couple of the big hitters from Xbox as well. So let's talk about Starfield, as we've already talked about Star Wars. We'll go from wars to a field. Yeah, the one thing that I thought was really impressive about Star Wars that isn't happening in Starfield, and giving it a bit of a side eye in doing so, is the whole going seamlessly from planet surface to space combat. Doesn't seem like you're doing that in Starfield. Although what they did show a massive Starfield direct after the whole thing, and went quite in depth with it. I don't know if you noticed, but like literally every 5 minutes they were like, and remember you can shoot people. Very important.
Yeah.
We're going to keep on coming back to that point. There's lots of boring stuff going on, and you can shoot people.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's funny because when they first started showing off the gameplay for Starfield, I sort of, in the back of my head, it went, wow, these No Man's Sky updates are getting ridiculous. This looks amazing.
Yeah, not doing what No Man's Sky does, not doing what Star Wars does in going from planet to surface. They did say that a while ago. But I do quite like the look of a lot of what they're presenting there. It seems to be a less fantastical sort of look at space. There's no alien species that we've seen. There might be a first contact as part of the story, possibly. That would kind of make sense. But they talked about it being a NASA punk aesthetic. And you can kind of see that throughout.
I didn't like the
look
term.
Of everything. I don't like the term, but I know what they mean by it, sort of thing. I mean, it's NASA with a bit of a tude. But yeah, like
Dude.
But yeah, like I kind of like what they're going for. It remains to be seen with the game, but I'm quite excited about the prospect of the developers of Fallout and Elder Scrolls making a game in space. Just that basic concept alone. And I think the component parts of what they put together should hopefully make for an interesting game. But remember, you can shoot people too.
Oh, can you shoot people?
Oh, you can
they
shoot
were quiet
people
about that.
in space. You can shoot people with a jetpack.
My kind of highlight of this this package that they put together was someone playing Starfield and that works on the game plays the game the way that I played Skyrim for a bit, which is they were going around hoarding sandwiches and had their own room of sandwiches that they've been hoarding, which I love the idea of, because I don't know if I've ever spoken about it on this show, but one of my favorite things to do in Skyrim was go around and just steal cheese and fill up my house with cheese.
Yep.
And then at points, I would take as much cheese as I could and then go out in the world. And you know, the kind of sneak mechanic, and you can go pickpocket people. I just put cheese in their pockets and walk away. And I know the game doesn't work like this, but in my head, they're going home going, what the hell's this cheese in my pocket? So that's how I played Skyrim. So I never beat it. Too busy sneaking, reverse pickpocketing cheese to people. But yeah, we'll kind of address the elephant in the room as well when it comes to Starfield. If you remember last year, towards the end of the year, we saw a bit of Starfield, and I went, wow, this is the year I buy an Xbox Series X because I'm going to need one to play Starfield properly.
Yep.
And then they did their presentation, and then a couple of hours after, they released a statement to IGN, I believe it was, and said, by the way, the game will not run in 60 frames a second on any of our consoles, including the Series X, which is a real kick in the dick for that console, I think, because they have been coating on this title specifically for Xbox for quite some time, and Xbox Series X is the world's most powerful console. I don't know if you knew that, Tim.
Yep.
And it can't run their game at 60. You have to have a very, very expensive PC setup if you want to play this game in all its glory.
Seen a lot of people defend that as a stylistic choice above necessarily a kind of performance-based thing. I don't entirely understand the argument there, I must admit, but it's one of those things where I'm fine with it, but I know you won't be. So I feel for you more than I do. It
literally means, unless I put a bunch of expensive upgrades into my PC, it means I'm most likely not playing Starfield because it will literally just make me feel travel sick playing it.
Yeah.
Maybe if I take some I'm not drugging myself to play Starfield. It's a very long game. That's a lot of drugs.
Get on the plane, fool!
But yeah, it is a shame. I've been very excited for this game, and like the hype has been building up, and with that one kind of answer, kind of dashed it down again. And I know that the reason that they've given is that this is designed as a 4K game. They want it to be a 4K game. And my answer to that is I play all my video games on 1080p monitors. I'm not playing it in 4K anyway. I would really like the
60 frames
ability to downscale, downgrade to 1080 so I can have my frames a second. That'd be lovely if we could do that. You know, not everyone has 4K TVs, and not everyone uses 4K screens in general.
No. Right, let's also backtrack back in time to the land of fables. Yeah, and this was the thing that opened up their beginning of the conference. They opened with Fable, and we started with where they closed, and now we're moving on to where they start. But yeah, like, I don't know about you, like that trailer like sold me on what they're going for, basically. I'm like, okay, it's a fantasy-based thing. Okay, there's magic and everything, like all the elements of what was there before, sort of, but they're going for a different approach from a narrative standpoint by the looks of things, because it looks like it's actually related to Fables, one being Jack and the Beanstalk, more like kind of fairy tale type things, and Richard Adewadi being said giant. I heard some people complain, oh, why didn't they show gameplay? And it's like, no, they did show gameplay. It just looked that good, kind of thing. So
I took that as the kind of what was the Foam Stars or whatever it was called, where we were talking about we were kind of arguing over they showed gameplay, they didn't show gameplay, which still they didn't show gameplay. I took that as a digital render interpretation of what gameplay would look like. I didn't know that. Have they confirmed that is actual in-game gameplay?
I don't know. I did see confirmation this week though of people that had played hands-on with it saying, "Oh, Foam Stars is actually really good, guys. And I saw more than one person say that as well. So yeah, like that's going to be interesting.
But I like the look of this Fable just because I'm not wasn't fully sure if it was all pre-rendered or if there was gameplay involved in there somehow. But it seems like it's because it is. We've got to remember it's not Lionhead Studio; they don't exist anymore. This is Playground game. Is it Playground Games?
Yes,
or
makers of Forza.
I think it's Playground. Forza Horizon, not Forza.
Oh right, not Forza. Forza Horizon.
Turn 10 is Forza. Playground is Forza Horizon.
But I believe this is in the same engine as Forza, no?
I think it is.
I heard that somewhere.
I'd have to look into that. But it's kind of keeping to its roots. It's using British kind of comedic actors. It's got that tongue-in-cheek tone to it. You got to see someone kick a chicken ridiculously far. There's a lot of stuff here from classic Fable that fits in well. So I'm looking forward to this, and I'm hoping we kind of get, because I always felt with Fable from the Lost Chapters, every time there was a sequel, even though I enjoyed the sequel, it kind of felt they looked better, but they were a downgrade in gameplay in the way they weren't as fun as the first game. So I'm hoping this is the one that kind of elevates it. But yeah, I'm liking the look of this, and I love the Fable series, so it should be a good one. All right, let's jump out of Xbox for a little bit and go into Capcom. There's only two that I highlighted in Capcom, and unfortunately, they were both kind of downsides to the Capcom showcase.
There was an upside to the Capcom showcase?
Well, yeah, I think apart from Mega Man X Dive Offline and Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy, I don't think there was anything new we saw. Everything was previously shown off at different things, stuff we've seen at other announcements in the past. But Pragmata is something that I think that was shown off originally in the PlayStation 5 reveal. So yet again, one of these games that has been touted from the launch of the console, and we are, 3 years into the console launch, and we still don't have this game yet?
And they're saying apologies for the delay too.
Yeah, so they showed a little, again, another pre-rendered cutscene, which made me go, "Ooh, okay, what does this game play like?" Because you're interesting me with this weird tale of a spaceman and a young robot girl. I need to know what this game actually is now. And then followed it up with a splash screen saying, "Yep, sorry, delayed it again. We don't mean to, but we keep doing it." And it's like, could you just show us some gameplay? What are you delaying? I'm getting annoyed now. But it looks pretty.
Yeah.
From the cutscenes.
Yeah,
Capcom have pretty cutscenes usually.
I was just going to say, I forgot to highlight it, but I just noticed the Kunitsu-Gami thing looked very interesting as well, the Path of the Goddess. That just looked graphically really impressive. Reminded me of one of the short things from Love and Robots. Death, Love and Robots, is it on Netflix?
Okay.
But it's, kind of a very colourful Japanese style, or it might not even be Japanese. I think it is Japanese. But just really interesting, high coloured graphical styling. And I'm that's one I'll keep an eye on, I think, going forward. But we didn't find out much about that, so yeah. It
kind of had that frenetic pace, and the colors were, which kind of, again, different eras and different styles and stuff, but it reminded me of, do you remember Jade Empire?
Yes, I love Jade Empire.
I got kind of that vibe from it.
It reminded me of...
Everyone loves Jade Empire.
Akami a bit as well, just in the terms of its overtly colourful nature and Japanese leaning and traditional Japanese sort of style, yeah.
This is one that would have been a big announcement on the Capcom showcase if they hadn't previously announced it on the Xbox Direct instead. The other one I had was Exoprimal, and the reason for that is that, so since they've shown off Exoprimal, I've gone, yes, mechs, dinosaurs, co-op gameplay, love the idea.
Yeah.
And and I know it got a lot of backlash because all those same people that go, why is it always remakes and sequels? Why don't we get anything new? And they went, here's Exoprimal. And they go, why is it not Dino Crisis? So I was very excited because it was a new IP and it looked interesting, and it's got that level of kind of Japan cheese where everything's dubbed horribly and it's so over the top and the writing's probably not going to translate too well. But I was really looking forward to this, and they killed that enthusiasm for me. And I haven't played the beta, so I'll put that out there. Okay. I know the beta's getting updated with new story missions and stuff, but watching this one, it was the same thing as the... Yeah, well, this was the same thing as the Suicide Squad thing when the leak happened. They went, hey, here's the season pass, flipping, you got to unlock all this stuff, and that's your gameplay hook. This game is paying for more. stuff really killed the enthusiasm for me on this.
Although
I just want a good game where I shoot dinosaurs with my friends.
Yeah, although I think that's coming day one on Game Pass, so it's a bit more tolerable in that environment, no?
If you subscribe to Game Pass and it plays well on an Xbox Series S, which a lot of new games tend not to.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, yeah. It's
even
not
though
exactly
they just
the most
announced a new Xbox Series
demanding
S.
game, maybe. Yes, that seemed a bit weird.
Well, I saw a thing saying that it's possible they announced the new S because they had to release one with a bigger hard drive pre-ready because Starfield might not fit on the console. So that seems likely. Yeah, just hopping around. You picked Still Wakes from the Deep. Why have you gone for that one, Tim?
Just intriguing. It seemed to be a kind of 70s era horror setup on an oil rig, although I have to say it was announced with Xbox, so I don't know what formats it's coming to. Is this was one of the ones I think it was day one Game Pass. My only slight disappointment there is I think this would work really well in VR. So I'm keeping an eye on it slightly with that in mind, but with the possibility that isn't going to happen, I might just end up playing it in flat screen because it intrigued me, at least, basically.
All right, fair enough. I want to go a bit left field completely and jump over to the Devolver Digital presentation. Because there was one game that I had. They only had 4 games on there.
Yeah.
They, if you don't know the Devolver Digital presentation, they like to do like a fake E3 style press conference, big stage show, and they'll kind of mock whatever the trend is in gaming. So last year, I think it was NFTs they were doing, and before that it was like season passes. This time it's all about AI, and it was very funny. It's not as funny as previous ones, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But one of the games, and they only had 4 games to show off, so it's a pretty light show for you to be watching. But the one that I got interested in was Baby Steps, which doesn't usually seem like the game that will appeal to me, because there's a big weird sub-trend of really intentionally infuriating games, and it starts from co-op and it leads on from there. And there's a couple I like. I like Surgeon Simulator. I like Octodad. But usually these games come out and I'm not too interested in it. The thing that caught my eye is there are creators of 2 different games here. One is Getting Over It, which I know was a big trend online, but not one that I was into myself. And the other one's Ape Out.
Which is great.
So what you've got, yes, which is a great game. What you've got here is taking control of a lazy character, a lazy adult who still lives with his parents. His parents are getting ready to kick him out, and he gets sucked into his TV and ends up in a new world where he's been so lazy and couch potato-like and living off of takeaway pizzas that he barely can move. So he has baby legs. You wobble around and you have to control him going uphill. It looks like it's got similar vibes to Getting Over It, but not as frustrating by the looks of it. And I'm interested to see how this goes.
You like annoying walking simulators, don't you? Death Stranding and Baby Steps, basically.
I do like walking. I like walking simulators that aren't just walking simulators. You know, they've got a hook to them. Okay. I like this one. I think there's a comedy element to it that I'd enjoy, but also and Death Stranding, like there was the whole building aspect and upgrading and the story itself.
Yeah.
So I like those. I like ones with a hook. I just don't like straight walking.
I think it just looked too annoying for me, Baby Steps. Like, I like the look of Talos Principle 2 and Wizard with a Gun that they showed off more than I liked Baby Steps, basically. But yeah, we'll see.
So jumping over to the Future Games Show, we've got C Smash VRS. And I'm guessing you put that in there because you want to plug that you interviewed the developer, Jorg.
Entirely, yes. Well done. You'd know this because you did a fine job of editing it, Mr. Coleman. But yeah, I interviewed developer. Anyone doesn't know, we put it out as a half episode. But I interviewed him last week, and I'm really excited for that game. It comes out on the 22nd of this month, or 23rd, I think maybe. But anyway, I've pre-ordered, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Having played the demo, it's really good. As far as I'm concerned, it's a must-buy if you own PSVR 2. There was a few more details here, not much, but they showed off a bit of footage of some of the other modes. I think we'd mainly seen that in different places before, but never once and together at the same time. But yeah, like Future Game Show had a few VR things, and this was probably still the standout highlight for me. But it's definitely one I'm looking forward to in the next week or so.
And if you want to listen to Tim's episode, that's episode 544.5 called Sea Smashing with Jörg.
Europe.
Nice man.
Yeah.
What shall we go for next? I'm going to go completely different. Let's
Yep.
go over to Wholesome Games.
Oh, okay.
I watched that. I watched that whole thing and got like two. That was the mad thing. There are so many games that they showed off in this whole thing, and I went, yes, this is very whimsical, very pastel, like cutesy stuff that it wouldn't necessarily appeal to me, but some things do. And I went through that whole thing and got 2 games out of it. I really like the look of.
I didn't make it through the whole thing, to be honest, but yeah.
So we got Venba, which I think we've spoken about on the show before, but it's this whole idea of it's kind of like a life story of an Indian family and how they bond over their food. And it's kind of like a story mode mixed with Cooking Mama. And I know there's actually 2 randomly different games. One's like a nice whimsical one like this, and one's more like a rhythm action game that's coming, and I cannot remember the name of that for the life of me. But I really like the look of this. I like a Cooking Mama type game, and I like the idea of it being like hooked more into a story. The other one, while we're here, I'll quickly mention is a Highland Song, and that was more a puzzle platformer, but it's Scottish influence, Scottish developed, and all that kind of stuff. And I really like the look of it. It had a very kind of oil painting look to it. But yeah, those are the 2 that I got from Wholesome Games. So we can cross that off our list now.
Okay.
We did talk about it.
All right. Okay. As I said, I was watching a bit of that in the background while working, and then I realized I hadn't been paying attention for some time and went to restart anyway, I just bailed on it. So that's one of these things I haven't watched. I have also watched one other one that we haven't got on the list, if you will permit me to just mention very quickly. Grasshopper Manufacture did their own little direct. It's quite short. They didn't have too much to announce, considering they'd already announced the main thing, which was the return of Garcia Hotspur in Shadow of the Damned, and they're doing a remaster of that. Other than that, it was generally just saying that they're 25 years old. Here's a recap of all the games we made type of thing, and a bit of Suda51.
Okay.
It had some funny moments, but it felt a little bit flat for me, considering one of the main jokes was the male presenter ignoring everything the female presenter said, which seemed a bit off in today's current climate and world. But anyway,
I don't know. As a joke, I like it. It's a good way of pointing it out, sort of thing.
Quite possibly. I don't know if that was entirely intended, but anyway, yeah, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I like Suda51. He's a nice guy. He makes zany games. And so, yeah, I just thought I'd mention that quickly.
And to check out Tim's interview of Suda51, look on Big Red Barrel TV on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that. I did do that. To talk about where the name Garcia Hotspur came from as well. I'll jump back to the Future Game Show just because there was a few more indie style or, sized games that I picked from there, as I didn't make any picks from the Wholesome Game Show. We'll go to the Future Game Show, where there was Resistor, which I quite like the look of. It was a kind of flat shaded art style and a post-apocalyptic car combat, but you're kind of flicking your car out to knock things about and stuff like that. It looked interesting. Hadn't heard of it before. I like the look of it. It's one I'll keep an eye out for going forward. There was also I couldn't remember the name of this for the life of me until I double checked on things, but Laika Aged Through Blood. So this was a bit weird. You're an anthropomorphic fox on a motorbike doing motorbike platforming and sort of pathfinding type stuff, but then also while shooting.
Steal rats with a fox.
Yeah, I mean, it's an odd mix, but they might just pull it off, by Jove. But yeah, I'm interested in that one as well. And then, Ruffy in the Riverside was another one they had there. It was an odd kind of hand-painted art style. Seemed to be like puzzle solving that revolved around like swapping the materials around. Like they showed one where you saw a kind of lava flow and then took that and put that in a river, and that made a river of lava and stuff like that. So
I see.
Yeah, weird sort of puzzle solving going on, but it had a kind of I don't know, like there was something a bit off about the art style, like very deliberately kind of thing. It looked definitely interesting. And as I said, one to keep an eye out for. Coming to PC and Switch in winter of this year, maybe, kind of thing. Another one that we saw a bit more details on, I think this was originally announced at an Xbox show, and I think might be coming to Game Pass, but I can't remember if that's definitely true. But Pacific Drive, where, you're kind of a car RPG type thing. So you've got your car, you're leveling it up and trying to get through tricky terrain, and there did seem to be some sort of fantasy element going on. But again, it's one I'm keeping an eye on, and they showed a little bit more of that, but it's one we already knew about, so I won't talk too much. Yeah, and one that I'm definitely really interested from the art style first and foremost, but then the gameplay looked like it could be fun as well. Looked a little bit like, reminded me in gameplay a bit of Trek to Yomi, although hopefully they'll pull off the combat in a slightly more satisfying way. But the art style of...
hopefully it will feel better.
Yeah, the Spirit of the Samurai is the name of the game. And it's a kind of... It almost looked like stop motion animation. Like everything was made out of clay or something. And, it's I see. A very interesting art style. The only thing is, and quite weirdly, they said that this was coming to PC and Atari VCS. And I'm like, you are?
I see.
I'd like to see it on Switch or consoles, please, but hopefully that's further down the line, maybe.
So I've got to ask you, Tim, over on Ubisoft Direct, or Ubisoft Forward, I keep calling everything Direct. I have noticed I do this.
Well, they're all direct.
I know you like your VR.
Yep.
My eyes, the goggles do nothing.
And I know that you've enjoyed the VR games of Ubisoft in the past.
Yes.
And we spoke about this. There's an Assassin's Creed game in the works for VR, which I think was I think we said it was at Atomus or something last time, but
Animus.
It's Assassin's Creed Nexus VR.
Yes, I thought it was Animus.
Sorry, the Animus is in the thing.
Yeah.
What do you think of this? Because this is a kind of it's not. It doesn't look like an in-depth Assassin's Creed game. It's more like a collection of
short experiences.
It reminded me of the Arkham VR game, which is one of my favorite VR games. I will admit, but it's kind of like mini challenges fed into a story. And this one you're playing as Ezio, Connor, and the woman from the other game.
Was it
one that
Unity?
I didn't play. The one in Greece.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. No, not Unity. I think it was in Greece.
Yeah, I can't think. I know the one you mean. But yes.
Basically,
Odyssey.
Two of their... Odyssey, that sounds right. Two of their most popular characters, and Connor. Not many people liked Connor.
I think they didn't mind him necessarily. They just didn't like the game. Yeah, in terms of the VR thing, I think it was weird that they showed what looked at least like a pre-rendered trailer. They have subsequently released screenshots of gameplay. As you say, it's a bit worrying that it's not a whole game. It's even less interesting to me because it seems like it's a Meta exclusive, at least at the moment. So if that remains the case, then I won't be playing it probably. But yeah, it would be good to see exactly what it is, exactly what price point they're going for. But for me, overall, it's slightly good news that Ubisoft haven't given up on VR completely. That's the one good takeaway from that overall for me, because I'd rather...
I mean, they've made a fair few games.
Yes, but it seemed like they'd pulled away from it entirely. Like there was nothing at the launch of PSVR 2, for instance. And we know how much they like to back up a launch product.
I see.
And they didn't do anything. Like they didn't even port any of their existing PSVR 1 games. I'd really like to see Star Trek come over to this, to come over to PSVR 2. No sign of that as yet. But hopefully they're still doing some VR stuff. Hopefully this might eventually come to PSVR 2 if it's any good. And I can kind of see how first-person Assassin Creeding in VR could work nicely, could be impressive.
If you remember, there was an April Fool's gag quite some time ago, and they were doing a whole thing on Assassin's Creed Connect for the 360. And it was the joke of people trying to play Assassin's Creed with motion controls, and then afterwards, and they go, also coming to the Wii, and there's like a little kid with Wii controllers that go shing out of her wrists, and so the joke was trying to play Assassin's Creed with motion controls, and now we're playing Assassin's Creed with motion controls. So we've gone from just
On
over a decade later.
scale.
It's it's happening. That's quite mad.
Yep.
Also, sticking with Ubisoft, I want to go for the one that opened the show, and that is Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, which last year we saw a pre-rendered little teaser type thing. This time we got a lot more information. So this is from the guys who do the Division games, the main ones, not the mobile and all that kind of stuff. But the idea of them making an Avatar game in some form seemed appealing to me. This one, very interesting. So it's meant to tie in with the movies and B faction, all that kind of stuff. But it's you're playing an avatar that was taken by the humans, trained up to fight for the humans, and then at some point they just went, no, we out, and left Pandora and left them all in stasis. And this is one of the ones that got out of stasis. So they're not an avatar; they are a Na'vi. And you do the whole run around, and climb through trees, and bow and arrow, actual guns, because you've been trained. Basically, you've been trained because it's an excuse to say why they use the guns. Yeah. And you get to link up with the birds with your weird haired genitals and all that kind of stuff, and fly around. And it looks fun, and it looks very pretty as well. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing like what the final product of this game is once again, especially because it is from the guys of The Division, and they make games that keep me interested.
That is something that I think gives it a bit more credence. I mean, they did try an Avatar game before, and I remember playing it at a preview show and it being okay, but I don't think it particularly went anywhere. I seem to remember that it was released at the same time as PlayStation were pushing 3D. So it must have been early PS3. And they were showing that game off at shows in 3D TV stuff as well, basically. But I remember it. I still haven't actually seen the second film, but I was a reasonable fan of the first one. I just never got around to seeing the second one in the cinema.
It was fine
because lockdown and stuff.
See, I envy you because you're most likely to see that sequel at home. I watched it in the cinema in 4DX, and 4DX is the most nauseating experience of my life, and 2, I saw it in 3D, and I can't see 3D because my eyes don't focus at the same time. So that was fun. And it's so long. I wish I could watch it at home and pause it and, go take a break when I need to. But to get ready for the second one, I watched the first one because I hadn't seen it. And I watched it in like half an hour chunk each day before I got through the whole thing. That's pretty manageable. I like that film. I wish I did that with the second one and watched it on a 4K TV and enjoyed it more than on a cinema screen.
That's the only thing about not seeing it in the cinema.
Sorry,
I would have liked to see it in
tangent.
3D, but yeah, and that's why it's slightly annoying that 3D Blu-rays don't exist anymore, and I can't watch them on the PSVR 2. But I remain slightly hopeful and optimistic this will be a good game. Like the fact that they haven't rushed it out in time for the cinema release bodes hopefully a bit better. That they've taken
which
some
cinema
time to
release.
Well, they'll probably release.
And we're getting like 20 million Avatar films
several more times. Yeah, that's true. But hopefully this will be a good game. It's. I'm kind of hoping that Ubisoft do a bit better than they have in the last year or so as well. But them coming with a variety of open world games is going to be interesting. Although we don't actually know if Avatar's open world, I guess it's going to have some open world aspects to it at least.
Yeah, I would assume that's quite a safe bet, just based on the one the studio and Ubisoft, 2 the publisher. Yeah. I look forward to being a Na'vi and destroying control towers. Right, so from Avatar, where you get to go to a planet that a lot of people wanted to live, were to City Skylines 2, where you could build a city you might want to live.
Yeah, I mean, developers of this have been pretty active in pushing City Skylines generally and making other games for other formats and things. It was a bit of a surprise just in terms of when they showed it off, I was like, oh, this looks nice and shiny. Oh, but it looks a bit like City Skylines. And I still didn't twig that, it might be a sequel to City Skylines, Tim. But yeah, I really liked the first game, so it'll be one I'm keeping an eye on. I don't know if this is one that's going to be coming to Game Pass, but as it was showed off in the Xbox thing, I think that makes it more likely. I can't remember if they said it was or it wasn't at the end of the trailer. I don't know, I got a bit confused with keeping track of which games were coming to Game Pass and which games weren't. But yeah, City Skylines 2, it's a really, the first one was a really good city builder. I expect this one to be good, but more shiny. Hopefully they won't sell you all the bits like they did in the last one, but that might be the case.
That was that was more they took the kind of the Sims route where it like they released their game and then over time DLC pack, expansion pack, DLC pack, expansion, and a lot of the current kind of builder RTS and all those kind of things, they seemingly follow a similar model. I'm thinking of the Jurassic World games.
Yes.
They do a similar thing. So if you start into them late, you can go, oh, cool, this game is just £25, and then you pick it up and go, also, there's 170 quid's worth of DLC to add to it.
And that's my slight problem with it.
It can get a bit much.
Especially when it... Like, my fear is that they lean even more heavily into that because if they do go down the Game Pass route, then they're looking at selling you lots of stuff afterwards, and how much will be left on the shelf for you to buy. That's my only concern with that and going forward. I won't criticize them too much because there's still quite a lot of game in there. It doesn't feel like, the base game was necessarily missing anything. It's just there's lots of, I want all those shiny things now to plug into this.
I played the crap out of Jurassic World Evolution 2, and I haven't picked up a single one of the expansions, even though I kind of do want the 1993 film expansion thing and just make an Isla Nublar.
Just while we're in the Xbox show as well, one of my actual standout games from the whole thing, which I wouldn't have guessed if you'd have told me the developers and even what they were doing, I would still be like, I don't know. But In Exile Entertainment are making a game called Clockwork Revolution.
Which is definitely not BioShock.
Definitely not BioShock. Legally different to BioShock because steampunk. Yeah, as we alluded to, it's a BioShock-esque looking game. There does seem to be like a fractured timeline thing going on where you arrive in different things. The other game that it really reminded me of alongside BioShock is Singularity. Again, this is more of a steampunk aesthetic than those two had. But yeah, I really am intrigued by this game. Really like the setup of where they were going with this. Wasn't one that I was aware of going in. I think they said this one was coming to Game Pass, so I'm definitely down for this as well. But yeah, I'm like, cool, yep. Sign me up, do that. I think Xbox bought them recently, didn't they, as well, in Exile Entertainment. So I'm hoping that they're fairly determined to prove themselves as a new Microsoft acquisition. So hopefully this will be putting their best foot forward in doing so, basically.
Did you see the weird little flub on YouTube regarding this trailer?
Nope, don't think so.
So on the Xbox YouTube account, they put up this trailer, single from the stream itself.
Yeah.
And on YouTube, if it's video game related, you get an option to put in the game that you're playing, and whoever uploaded it put BioShock Infinite. So if you had like certain devices that you see that on there, it had BioShock
kind of
Infinite
links to that, basically,
which I thought was very humorous. Yes, right. We are running a bit thin on time, so just cursory glancing through. Right. Senua Saga Hellblade 2. I wanted to mention this because once again, it's something that was used to advertise the console. It's the first game we saw running on the world's most powerful console, the Xbox Series X, Tim. I don't know if you knew, but that's the world's most powerful console. And yes, and they used Senua Saga Hellblade 2 to show off that console and the facial renderings and all that kind of stuff. And again, we are a couple of years into this console's release, and we still don't have it. And we still don't have it.
Can't have it.
But it looks nice, and I still haven't finished the first game, so I should probably do that at some point. I hear it's good.
Right, I'll quickly jump into Day of the Devs and just mention Viewfinder. I talked about it before in the show, won't go much more in this, but there is a demo now on a PS5, maybe 4 as well, I assume, but possibly Xbox as well. I don't know, but it's definitely on PS5. Download the demo, play it. It's great. I think it's the same demo that's been doing the rounds. I'm not sure. I haven't actually checked yet myself, but I'm still going to play through it even though I've played it before because it's really good. So download that. That was showed off on Day of the Devs. Another thing, someone that we've actually interviewed previously was a developer on the previous game in the series, but this is a game called Hyperlight Breaker. It's described as an open world skateboarding roguelike. Also has combat, also has a hang glider, as is the fashion these days in your open world environments. It seems to be expanding on the previous formula of Hyperlight Drifter and expanding that into an open world format. Can be a bit wary doing that, but they seem to be heading in the right direction. It's got, it says skateboarding, but it looked more like hoverboarding to me from what they were doing. And that seems to be the fashion in a lot of indie games these days, whether you're on a sword or a skateboard.
Gory, the sword sand thing.
Yep.
Yeah, Sword of the Ocean, whatever it was called. Yeah. It's happening a lot lately.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because I like hoverboards.
Yep. Who doesn't like a hoverboard? So, But yeah, overall, I thought it was a really weird period where there's lots of game announcements, lots of things going on, loads of different shows and stuff. It all felt a little bit more disjointed than it has in other years, and it seemed a bit weird to not have Nintendo doing anything around this time. They usually do one of their own Nintendo Directs around this time as well. We haven't really had that, and it feels sort of lacking in the absence. I thought the Ubisoft thing, their presentation seemed really stilted and bad in presentation compared to everyone else's, just because they opted with the whole live show thing, and seemingly the audio from the audience wasn't really being captured properly or wasn't syncing up very well, because it sounded like there was about 3 people in the audience, and the guy on stage seemed a bit bored when he was waiting to speak in between doing things, because he was just standing there with his hands behind his back. Not blaming him. I just think that format's a bit done now, and maybe we need to move on from that.
I definitely didn't mind it. I thought a lot of the presentation of the Xbox game showcase, it's polished, it's done, it's pre-recorded, it's all really good because it means there's no hiccups at all. I just found the actual presentation really cringy. When they cut to a lot, the way it's presented with all the world's powerful console, exclusive, Game Pass ready, day one, all that stuff. Just do that. Just play me a load of trailers and do your little messages in between. When they cut to a live person, they're like, "We are the most inclusive gaming community, and we love you, the gamer." And it's like, stop it. It sounds like a TED talk. I hate it.
Yeah, a bit too corporate speak loves you kind of thing. The company loves you. And it did seem a little bit too try hard. But I don't know, I kind of like some form of presentation where they're cutting to people and doing maybe something with a bit more substance than that. Maybe have some devs come out and speak to them, or something to just break it up from the monotony of just here's a bunch of trailers, because I think that can be a bit much. Like the Upload VR one, which we haven't really spoken.
A bunch of trailers.
Yeah, the Upload VR one, which we haven't really spoken about, because me and Kev will hopefully pick that up this week. But that was literally just trailer, and I found myself forgetting half of what they showed. Some of it because I wasn't that interested in it, because it wasn't for PSVR 2. But I thought Capcom's showcase was just dull and seemed a bit pointless. It was like, oh yeah, we've already released Street Fighter 6 and we're 40 this year, and we haven't really got anything else. But here's some trailers.
I know this isn't E3, but it is essentially an E3 replacement. But over the years, it's Capcom and Square Enix. They've been really good at showing us stuff we already know, and it's been a bit kind of lackluster because of that. We want the big new exclusives, the sexy things, but a lot of those get kind of, if they do have them, they get wasted on other shows. Well, I wouldn't say wasted, it's still exciting, but yeah. Anywho, overall, it was all right. I kind of find that with the Summer Games showcases and what have you, it feels like they're trying to get as many games on show as absolute possible. And when you have the E3 ones, they have the E3 ones and they plan them out and they go, right, it's this show, this show, this show, this show.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of other companies that go, we're not part of E3, but we're going to show this anyway. We're going to put this out. We're going to put this out. And you get kind of, when you do stuff and get PR emails and you do things for the websites, it gets a bit too much sometimes. This is all of the stuff that you would usually get on the outside just chucked in anywhere you can. It's like they really want the biggest show absolutely possible, and a lot of it kind of just washes over you. It's hard to get a good grasp on everything,
There's 2 things I don't like from where we've moved to in the style of presentation and just the way of presenting things. I kind of understand the need for it, but this here's a teaser trailer, and tomorrow we'll show you more details on this different street. And it's like you're trying to please everyone, and I'd rather just have all the information in one place and not have to pass it out amongst all these different things where I've got to look at the logo on Summer Games Fest, the teaser trailer on Xbox, and then wait till, whoever's showcase to see actual gameplay. Like, just, and also just in general, there doesn't seem to be as much concern for quality control in a lot of these. Like you say, it does seem to be like we just want as many games as possible. Anyone that sends us stuff, will put it in there. And like, I do think there needs to be
some video game. Get it?
Yeah, I do think there needs to be some curation, and then maybe stick stuff in your pre-show, and then just concentrate things in the actual show. But yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the ideal solution is. Maybe we need a few years of wandering around in the mists before everything coalesces back together again. But yeah, I don't know. At the moment, it doesn't seem to be. I didn't have the same level of excitement as I do for an E3 week, and I don't think we've quite got to a better place yet, though.
But I think that is mainly because if you look at when we had E3 weeks that we got excited about, you had a Nintendo, you had a PlayStation, you had an Xbox, and if not a Nintendo, you had a PlayStation, you had an Xbox, and then Nintendo were doing something separate, but it was always the main three. Now we've got PlayStation did it like a month before. Nintendo's not doing anything at the moment because they just released the big game that they've been talking about for so long now. I don't know what Nintendo have coming now. It's got to be console at this point, surely, because we don't know what's on the books. But yeah, the excitement's not there because we don't have that kind of level of organization that we used to get previous, where it's all kind of combined and finely tuned and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and also on just because you said about Sony doing things a month before as well, like the whole of this week, Sony have announced a load of really interesting VR games, and I don't understand why they didn't just wait and put something bigger together, do like a separate direct this week for PSVR 2 or something. And yeah, I don't understand their approach on that front at the moment. Overall, as I said, I think it needs a bit of time to bed in and see where we go in the next couple of years, and then we'll hopefully be in a better place where it feels a bit more exciting again. There is a bit more main stuff going on at the same time, basically. But maybe that's the end and we'll just never see that all come back together again. But hey,
it's like 80%, like 20% big games, then 80% blah.
Yeah.
You gotta dig through and find.
Here's
the
some
ones
other stuff we found.
Like a really bad, like a letdown of a claw game. But, yes, okay, we gone through it all. We have unfortunately gone quite to the end of the show, so are we okay to leave our what we done played for next week?
Yeah, I
think I want to play those demos as well that you want to talk about. Well, we were going to talk more Street Fighter. I have played Street Fighter now.
Yeah.
I really like Street Fighter.
It's very good.
So much so that I
took
my PlayStation into the office so I could fight all my co-workers, and they're getting annoyed that I keep winning. And also, Tim's been playing the demos for Liza P and Final Fantasy 16, which I have downloaded, but I haven't played them yet. And I'm playing Planet Lana on the Steam Deck, which is a very good game to go play on the Steam Deck. So
play those for next week, and we'll discuss them more next week. Yeah.
Because that was in our Planet Lana was in our EGX showcase, so you could always go back and listen to that. So there you go. Right, this has been. Oh no, we haven't done it. This is why Dan usually does this. I forget how things work. So before we get out of here, we've got to say, hey, if you want to help support us, you can go over to tpublic.com/store/BRB. Over there, we've got t-shirts, we've got mugs, we've got phone cases, we've even got the old COVID masks, if that's a thing that you want still. But we've got all manner of colorful designs on there. We've got Big Red Barrel stuff. We've got stuff that isn't related to Big Red Barrel, but related to video games. I really like the Sonic design. I really like the Zangief design. I love our Tabletop Tuesday design, where we've got kaijus fighting with lots of little meeple running scared. That's really cool. A good one to get on a t-shirt, especially in orange, like me, because I'm a baller who wears orange. So once again, that is tpublic.com/stores/BRB. Go there for all your merchandising needs. And I understand, Tim, that Tuesday is a Tuesday. What does that mean?
Tuesday is indeed a Tuesday, Mr. Coleman. And anyone doesn't know, each and every Tuesday we do an event called the Tabletop Tuesday. I put a "the" in that I didn't need. But Tabletop Tuesday at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. And you can come along. Most weeks we have a feature game, and if you play that feature game that week, you have a chance of winning a copy of the game. I haven't announced this week's feature game yet. I'm just waiting to get confirmation of we're having a guest this week or possibly next week. If not, I have other feature games, so there will definitely be a feature game. We'll have a feature game for the next few weeks at least. There'll be more details on the top left-hand corner of bigredbarrel.com, or you can search on meetup.com for Tabletop Tuesday. Join our group there and join the over 2,000 people that have done so. Come along and play a game and possibly win it just by playing it that evening.
That is the Tabletop Tuesday on the Tuesdays over at the Loading Bar in the Stoke, Newington. Go there and play the tabletop games.
Yes.
And also, while we're on the, once attended by the star of The Flash in cinemas today as we release this episode. Yep. There you go, tied it all in together. Blood on the cocktail, that sounds fun.
So, that was good.
This was before then.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to skip questions and stuff. We're going to leave all that for another time. It was a big show. It was a big show of Summer Games Festing.
Really big show.
And we are going to try... Really big sure. We're going to try and make this a more yearly thing where we cover it and just dedicate to that and basically take over what we used to do for the big E3 show, but the little Summer Games Fest, even though it's a much bigger show than E3 by all means on the streaming. So this has been episode 546 of BRB UK. Thank you very much for listening. If you have enjoyed listening, why not check us out on bigredbarrel.com.
You can check us over.
Over there, we have we have comment sections on, we have articles, we have posts, we have little comment sections where you can talk to us. You can go onto this podcast post and you can talk to us and ask us questions and things. You can also check out a link to our Discord there. You can go to Facebook and Twitter at Big Red Barrel, and you can also find us on YouTube, Big Red Barrel TV. Also, all the links will be available to all the social medias and any of the kind of shows and things we've been talking about. I do put these handy links in and chapter selections and what have you in our show notes of each and every episode. But while you're following those links, go onto any of those ways, that Discord, Facebook, Twitter, comments, YouTube, anything like that, and you can ask us questions, which again we are skipping this week. But carrier pigeon, if you want, that's going to take a little while. But we are in London; they're everywhere, so it's a good way to just grab one and throw it.
Catch a pigeon.
That's how carrier pigeons work. Sounds good. Yes, send us questions, send us feedback, send us messages of love and support for Tim and his weird fascination with wearing budgie smugglers and taking photos for calendars. That's what he does in his spare time. Okay, thank you very much for listening. For this week, hopefully we've got Dan back next week. No guarantees. Maybe Tim's off next week. Who knows?
Who knows? The lottery of work commitments.
But for this week, I have been Coleman.
I might have been Tim, and we may have got through a whole episode talking about Summer Games Fest and not mentioning Jeff Keighley.
Just did.
I didn't.
Just did.
No.
I think we're doing that next year when Death Stranding 2 is getting released, and then we can go back to doing that really bad Jeff Stranding joke that I like to make.
Jeff Stranding.
Yes. Yes. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you have been watching on YouTube, make sure to like and comment and subscribe and all that good stuff. Thank you very much. This has been 546 of BRB UK, and goodbye.
You and your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to bigredbarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, bigredbarrel.com.
This is what happens when you let Yoshinori Ono go, all right? Now, if he was still at the helm, I'd be able to play as a truck, all right?
I mean,
damn it, Capcom.
Yeah, the last game was bad for DLC stuff as well, so hey. But